Hello and welcome to Better Than Super Mario Brothers, where each episode we delve into cinema's sewer. I am Chris Bolton. With me, as always, my partner in podcasting, Mr. Mark Williams.
Hello.
Hey, Mark.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Showgirls. Yeah, I've had that in my head all week actually. I'd rather watch that.
I couldn't not do that. Yes, we are looking at the one and only legendary Showgirls.
Now, can I ask you a question?
Go for it.
Why the fuck did we do this to ourselves again?
No, here's the thing, right? I have a confession to make. We did this because it was on the list. Pretty sure you must have put it on the list because I realised about 5 minutes into watching this, I don't think I've ever seen it before.
Okay, right. It was one of my suggestions. But yeah, it's definitely one of my suggestions. But I'm surprised at that.
I'm not sure. I've got a bit of a weird Mandela effect thing going on. Okay, I think I convinced myself that I'd seen it because it's legendary, and I'm certainly aware of all of the sort of fracas surrounding it and a lot of what's wrong with it. But I think this came out 96. I want to say Showgirls came out 96, 97, 95. Okay, as usual, no research on my part. So 95. Okay, so I'm 14. So by the time it's doing the rounds on VHS, I'm probably 15, 16. Now, I remember a lot of my friends talking about Showgirls when it came out. And I remember our general consensus, and I very vividly remember this, our general consensus being, you may as well just get some porn. Which is 15-year-old boys, look, what do you want to do? Right, okay. So there was that. I also remember my dad being very excited to watch it, particularly because, generally because he really liked Basic Instinct, and this was advertised as being from the director of Basic Instinct. And then I remember him actually renting it and telling me, in no uncertain terms, it's shit. So I could have watched it. I could have, they wouldn't have stopped me watching it, but Dad was like, no, shit. So I don't think I bothered. And then it kind of, I guess, died a death. And then I remember being in university, and one of my best friends in university on my original degree, on my BA, was Campus Christmas, and loved Showgirls. Loved Showgirls. So talked about it a hell of a lot. And I think I've just kind of culturally absorbed it through that. There were points watching this where I'm like, do I remember this scene? I don't. So maybe I've seen it once, but that is the most. For some reason, the scene that made me, there were two scenes that, in fact, that particularly made me think maybe I have seen it. I seem to remember the opening, and randomly then I also seem to remember the scene in, I think it's a Wolfgang Puck's they're eating in, where they just sat down having some sort of crap Italian meal and talking about champagne.
Yeah.
The menu looked very kind of 90s, but I remember that for some reason. So maybe I have seen it and just blocked it from my mind. I don't know. But if I've seen it, it's only been once. So this is either the first or second time that I've seen Showgirls, and I hope I never have to watch it again. Not to bury the lead.
I saw it very similar. So when this came out, I was a little bit younger than you, but so when this came out, my parents would have been very much like, I don't give a fuck if it's a girl from Saved by the Bell. You are not ever going to watch it.
Well, I mean, we'll get onto that.
That was a thing. I very much remember that being an argument in our house. And so then, by the time I saw it, I probably would have been about 16, 17. And as you said, at that point, there's porn. So why are you going to bother? So I definitely saw it when I was about 16, 17, and then probably saw it once or twice since. And then watched it day before yesterday, which was just fucking painful.
Painful is about right. I mean, let's get into it then. There's our backgrounds for you with Showgirls. As always, we like to sort of give some sort of context for this. I have a lot of general thoughts about Showgirls, which I guess will come out in conversation on the way through, but I'll also hit them in summing up as well. I won't bury the lead too much here. So diving straight into it, actually, as I say, I remembered the opening. And the reason I remembered the opening is because actually for the first 30 seconds,
Yeah.
it's going all right. And I think actually, even watching it this time, like my first thought is, I'm not sure I've actually seen this all the way through. And then I'm like, this is going to be okay. Like it's the opening set was okay until we get to the flick knife.
Yes.
And then,
now, never has there ever been somebody so unconvincing with a fucking weapon.
I mean, look, let's just flat out call it here. Yes, look, we love Saved by the Bell. We tried to do it on SMPD a couple of weeks ago and couldn't. But God, she's terrible. Elizabeth Berkley is just, she's so OTT in this film. It is like we've talked about people pitching to the stalls on this show a lot, but this is one of the worst. It's either, and I'll get into this as we go through again, as I say, and certainly when we get to the end, it's either one of the best and most nuanced performances I've ever seen, or it's absolutely one of the worst.
I can't make my mind up on that one.
I can't either, and a lot of that can also be said about the film. And there's some weird points in this film where it just kind of clicks, and you go, there is something here. I think this is just catastrophically mishandled.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like, because first of all, for the first like half an hour or so, I'm like, no, she's just shit. This is awful. Like, it wasn't even entering my head that anything else was going on here other than she was shit. Then as we slowly start to unpick the narrative, I'm like, you know what, actually, I think she may have had a discussion with Verhoeven here, and I think the two of them actually know like what feeds this character, and I think she's playing it, but the problem is we don't have that information, so she just seems like a psychopath. But I think she's actually playing something here.
Well, this is it, and I mean, this is one thing I as I don't make notes. It's hard enough finding time to sit down and watch a film all the way through without sort of pausing it to make notes and stuff. And the one thing I did think is that when she's doing, when there's stuff going on in the scene, I don't mean particularly when she's dancing or when she's naked or anything else, but just when there's stuff going on in the scene, it's fine. It's when she's actually going to sit there and act. That's when she really struggles.
But again, I'm not sure that she does. She, as I said,
she's either struggle.
Yeah, she's either. This is either one of the best performances ever, seriously, or one of the worst. Now, I do remember her winning just about every Worst Actress award possible. So
yeah, this film held the record for the most Razzies for a long time. Let's look. Then it was a record 7 from a record 13 nominations.
Wow.
So worst picture, worst actress, worst director, worst screenplay, worst new star, worst screen couple for any two people or body parts on screen. And worst original song.
Yeah, it's all those things and more.
Yeah. I mean, that first scene, though, I mean, the thing that struck me, obviously, I said it looks very good. Now, what she takes and you got the mountains and this and that. It looks really good.
This film, start to finish, looks phenomenal.
Well, I mean, that was the thing. That's what really set me off. I'm thinking this looked. It looked all right, and then she gets in the truck, and has zero chemistry with this bloke straight away, and then pulls a knife on him. So okay then.
But then she goes off the reservation with a knife. However, like once you back around from that, once you've sort of settled down from the knife thing again, and it's almost just try and forget it happened. Like this opening 2-3 minutes is really nicely handled. We get a big old exposition dump straight up front, or at least I think we do, until we start to get further into the narrative. And I'm like, hang on, we still don't know what's going on with the backstory here. But straight off, up front, it's like, who are you? Where are you going? Here it all is. And it's clear there's something else going on under the surface. It's clear from minute 1 here, there's something going on with her mother as well. But it's like straight away, we get this conversation with her, and it's just all... It's all here. She's off to Vegas to make a name for herself as a dancer. Her name is Naomi. Like it's all here. Here's a big info dump. And this is something actually that I complain about a lot, both on Game of Moans and actually on this show as well. I complain about how films don't front load this information and how essential it is that you get this sort of stuff out there as early as possible. And just look, this is just like ripping a plaster off, okay? It's always going to be painful and it's always going to be clumsy, but it really helps your narrative and it really helps with an emotional connection to your character. And I think they handle this really well. It's fairly light.
Passable.
Yeah, it's fairly light for what it needs to be. It's just like, here's here's everything you need to know about this character, or here's everything that we want you to know about this character,
Yes.
would be more apt, because actually one of the biggest problems with this film is that we don't know this character at all and never get under her skin.
Yeah, that's right.
Despite the fact I really genuinely think both director and performer have got under the skin. We're not getting that information.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's that. So that's all good.
I mean, with that scene, I did think that, I mean, they set up, so Vegas is like 350 miles, 400 miles away. So that's going to take a good couple of hours driving.
Mm-hmm.
When they get to Vegas, they don't seem to have bonded beyond single sentence answers, even in those hours. It's just like the most stunted, it must be the most stunted car journey you've ever had.
Maybe she fell asleep.
Fucking I'd have kicked her out.
Maybe she fell asleep. I don't know. But I mean, look, movie magic. Vegas can be as far away as you want. We don't need to see the journey to Vegas.
No, so, but it's just they were as cold to each other when they got there as they were when she first got in the truck and pulled a knife on him. It was just like,
Yeah,
sure you bond a little bit.
I didn't bother me at all. That's the least of this film's problems.
Yeah, that's true.
We get to Vegas. She's like, ooh, shiny. And then just has the most super OTT reaction. Like, I thought the flick knife was bad, but when she comes out and finds the truck is gone, like, her reaction is just ridiculous. She just starts, like, beating on the fucking car. She spews on the ground.
Yeah, but the thing, I mean, even before that, right? So she's there. She wins some money on a slot machine, and that's fine. She's having a good time. Yeah, it's all shiny, it's all new. That's fine. And then some bloke propositions her. Now, I'm okay, not wishing to cast aspersions on anybody, but a good-looking young woman, we don't know anything about it. Surely this isn't the first time a bloke has hit on her, just albeit in a slightly sleazy way. Her reaction to that is ridiculous.
But again, here's the thing, see, and this happens numerous times throughout the film, and it's not just with women. She gets hit on by just about everything. She's clearly damaged, and she clearly has a checkered past with this sort of thing, and she's clearly very easily triggered. And there's weight behind all of that. The problem is we never, like, until the end, we don't get it. It's set up like it's this kind of mystery. Now that's a different film entirely to what we've got.
Because, and that's the thing. I mean, by the time we actually get the reveal, it's
too late.
Far too late. At this point, there's very little left to invest in.
I fucking hate Naomi as a character. She is just one of the most despicable, unlikable characters I think I have ever encountered in a film. I hate her. I absolutely hate her guts, all right? And she's our lead. Like, that's a problem. Now, were we to get this information early on, and were I to be able to understand her, I feel like I would have an entirely different reaction to her, because like, her actions not so much are justified, but they're at least explainable.
Yeah, there's a rationale behind it.
And it's almost like you then sort of you understand where she's coming from, and it invites sympathy. But here it's just like, like you say, a guy hits on her, and this film clearly has something to say about the exploitation of people, not just women, people in general. This has something to say about the entertainment industry's exploitation of the human body. It clearly does, and it doesn't try hard enough, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But there's clearly stuff here, and everybody knows what they're trying to say. They just don't communicate it to us. And that's
the problem. As a viewer, you think, right, okay, well, if there's information there that needs to be had, why haven't we got it? And if we don't need it, then why are we getting this shit?
And I think a big part of the problem there with Nomi's character is that, yes, we get the reveal too late, but also if this is going to be a problem for her, and this is a recurring problem that she has, okay, she absolutely cannot abide being propositioned. It's very triggering for her. That needs to, for us at least anyway, as an audience, that needs to burn slowly. Yeah. That needs to, like, she can't explode every single time, which is what she does. She literally explodes every time somebody propositions her. She loses the fucking plot completely.
But she has fucking teenage temper tantrums where she storms out and she slams doors. And it's like, fuck's sake.
And again, that's explained at the end.
Yeah.
That's explainable. Yeah. And again, this is a character, and this is why I think it is clear that they understand this character, and that's why I say, actually, I don't think her performance is terrible. I think actually she's playing what's on the page, and actually they do try and pull some nuance out of it at times as well. Like she clearly understands Nomi. She clearly understands what she's trying to convey. Unfortunately, it's not supported by the screenplay at all. But nevertheless, yeah, she storms out and then she just goes off on one, beats the shit out of Molly's car, spews on the ground, breaks down into tears, and then for some random, unexplainable reason, Molly just decides to take her home. Like, as if you would do that.
It's like, you just beat up my car. You blow chunks on my shoes.
Yeah. Like,
I'm not. That's the other thing. She throws up, and the next thing she takes her for a burger.
It's mental.
I'd say, what?
Yeah, it's mental. Like, why would you do that? Like, this is clearly like, yes, get her help if you want.
Yeah,
but you wouldn't.
Don't take her home.
You wouldn't take her home. She's not a fucking stray puppy. Like, she's clearly damaged. Like, get her help. Yes, stay with her until help arrives.
Yeah.
If you want, put her up in a hotel for a night. But who would take her home? What the fuck?
Yeah, I have no idea. That didn't make sense.
There's a lot of things in this film that don't make any sense, but this is the first of them. So yeah, they go for a burger. But this is the first time I've written like, Christ, Naomi's a mess. Her performance with the fries. What the hell is she doing with those fries?
I have no idea.
Did you catch this?
I was trying to work out what was going on. I just couldn't get my head right. I said, what? Generally, whenever she had to do work with props that she couldn't stick inside herself, it was like, she doesn't know what she's fucking doing. She's not being directed to do anything. She just kind of, there you go. There's some fries. There's a drink. Okay. Now what?
She seems to just like mutilate these fries. I don't know what the hell is going on.
But even again in this show, doesn't she have some sort of fucking mini tantrum there as well, doesn't she?
She does. And then we get like some of the worst dialogue I've ever heard, which again is loaded. There's something here, and I think they reach for it and don't get it. We get this questioning of Nomi, where are you from? Back east where? Back east places. And then it gets into, are you hitting on me? And she blows up again. She is the most annoying character in history. And again, it's because this has been mishandled. This is clearly meant to set up some mystery here. What's going on with the backstory? Why does she fly off the handle whenever somebody hits on her? Where's she actually from? And okay, we get all that. She's a lady of mystery. Okay. But we need fucking more than this.
You need some sort of detail.
She is just the most annoying character in movie history at this point. You hit the nail right in the head. She's a stunted teenager is what she is.
And the thing is, obviously that'll come to fruition at the end, but the thing I didn't get with this opening, right, is that they have this scene, they go for the burger, she blows up again, and then the very next scene, it's 6 weeks later, and they're living together in this tiny fucking trailer. Yeah. And they're practically all over each other.
Yeah. It's weird.
Okay, so how has this relationship developed? And then for the next 2 hours, this is a fucking long film as well.
Oh, it is long.
It's like there's this almost sort of, it's probably the most chemistry you get between two cast members in the entire film is between these two in this opening section, and then nothing happens.
No. A lot of shit happens to Molly.
A lot of shit happens, but nothing happens between these two. The character stuff, it just kind of disappears again.
Molly's kind of the moral compass, isn't she?
But I mean, any interaction between the two, any relationship between the two, that just kind of disappears, and it's like it changes for. We haven't seen it develop, and it's the same problem we had with the Reed character in Game of Thrones. We don't see where it comes from, so we don't see this relationship develop. It's almost like fully formed.
Yes. I would agree with that. We flash forward.
Either. We just see it not being there anymore.
No, we flash forward to it, and again, I'm okay with that. Like, this is all information. This is all information that we just need to get as an audience as soon as possible, so we can get on with our story. Okay. Yeah. Fine. I'm fine with going. It's 6 weeks later. She's moved in with Molly. They've made fast friends. Fine with all of that. I guess you're right. The destruction of the relationship between them does just seem to suddenly happen. But I mean, there is, it is prompted. There is a reason for it. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It happens pretty much overnight.
Yeah.
You know, there are some warning signs. Molly does tell her not to get sucked in. She does tell her to be careful and stuff like that. But then that seems to come like a scene or two before the actual event. Oh, that's another thing, incidentally, that I think I remember. I think I do remember that staircase scene. So maybe I did see it once. I don't know. But I get flashes. But as I say, I'm not sure. There's some weird Mandela effect shit going on. Maybe I've just seen clips of it. Maybe. Anyway, my next few pages of notes, because I'm already starting to think, what the fuck have I let myself in for? And I'm not really invested in this at all. So I mean,
I sent you a message when I was starting, and then about 5 minutes out, I almost said, she said, "Wait, I have to watch this."
Yeah, I mean, I was already done and dusted by that point, so I was like, "Yeah, you are absolutely watching it now, motherfucker," because I had to.
I'd rented it at that point. I was going to watch it, but.
Incidentally, I meant to ask you, and I didn't. Did you rent the 4K HD remaster, or did you rent the? Yeah, because there was a cheaper version. There was a standard definition version, which was like
I rented an HD, but because I did it through Apple, I think you just get the version. So if you've got, because I haven't got a 4K Apple TV, so I didn't get it in 4K. I just got it in HD.
All right, okay.
But if I'd had it if I'd had the 4K device, it would have come in 4K.
Because Pathé remastered it in 4K. And actually, after having watched it, there's only £1 difference. I do kind of wish I'd spent the £1, because the best thing about this film is absolutely the cinematography.
It's very good.
It looks stunning, and that is actually it is my next note after saying Nomi's the most annoying character. I have written like this, like, to its credit, this is really fucking well shot. And the backstage stuff, whenever we're backstage and we're on that Steadicam, it's fucking phenomenal. Yeah. Really, really well done, really well blocked, lots of energy in the scenes. And I really enjoy all of those backstage sequences.
Yeah. I was going to say, given the number of people who are in those scenes, it's really well choreographed and very well blocked.
It very much feels like a early 90s, late 80s, early 90s indie film at this point, which, is Verhoeven, so it shouldn't, because...
No, I mean, a $45 million budget.
Yeah, but it does very much feel like that kind of navel-gazy early 90s indie cinema. It's got that feel to it. And I'm fine with that. All over that kind of stuff. But yeah, that all feels good. But then the rest of my notes for the next couple of scenes are just descent into madness with Nomi, really. Like, I've got, like, I really need to know what Naomi's damage is. She's clearly ill and she needs help. And actually, at this point, I'm starting to feel like this film almost feels exploitative, which, again, there's almost something meta there. I think they're reaching for that, but they don't land it.
Yeah.
And that the biggest part of this film is it very much feels like it's confused. It feels like there are two separate films here.
Yes.
And this early part, and this is the part I think Verhoeven really excels at as well, this early part feels like a kind of gritty street level character study.
Yeah.
And there's something in that, okay? I'd watch 2 hours of that. But then all of the stage stuff feels like it's this kind of meta, almost satire of this showgirl scene, and has something to say about the exploitation of performers. Yeah. Now, I'm here for 2 hours of that as well.
Yeah.
But both of them together, means that neither of them are effective.
No, I mean, looking back at it, I mean, at the time, obviously, I mean, this was widely lauded as one of the worst films ever made. But over time, it's got a sort of cult following behind it. One, from people who think it's really fucking awful or really kitschy, and other people who think, actually, no, it's quite a powerful satire. And I've read a couple of interviews with quite prominent Hollywood people who've gone, on the surface, yes, it's a film about a stripper. But actually, there is stuff about mental health. There is stuff about exploitation. There is stuff about celebrity culture, and it is viewed now as more of a satire, and that's definitely there.
It's definitely there, and you feel like that's why it's Verhoeven as well. He's your go-to guy there. You want somebody to give you a blockbuster that's actually dripping with satire, and that the uneducated viewer, pretty much it flies over their head. Like, that's your man. He's the expert at it.
Yeah.
The problem is, stylistically, and actually, the narrative here as well, it's too blatant for him. That's not this film, and I'm sure I'm not the first person to say this, okay? And I will stand by this statement because I know you've actually called him out on this podcast before, and I called you out for calling him out. This film needs to be directed by Joel Schumacher.
Correct.
Because he would absolutely nail this to the wall. He would know exactly what to do with this.
Yeah. Because this would have been similar time to Falling Down as well, wouldn't it?
It would have been. And look, Joel Schumacher's a fucking good director, okay? He's made some god-awful films. But when he's on form, he is excellent, okay? And he can handle all of this, and he can handle it deftly, and he's very good at it. He's very good at giving you character study wrapped up inside a satirical narrative. As you say, you've got things like Falling Down, for an instance. Like that's essentially a 90-odd minute character study, but it's also a very good thriller, and it also comments on society. You know, you look at Lost Boys, which is very clearly, yes, it's the vampire trope. Yes, it's homosexuality and AIDS via the vampire trope, but he nails it inside of a genre piece. He gets all of that. He can take a genre and nail your point home within a genre. He would have absolutely aced this. It's got, like, he's the perfect choice. I don't know why it went to Verhoeven. Probably because he'd done Basic Instinct. And they were like, oh, he's the tits and ass guy. Let's go to him.
I think time-wise, I think this would have clashed with Falling Down as well.
Yeah, maybe. But I think we'd have a different film.
I know he'd even do Batman and Robin. Batman Forever when this was being done.
I guess he would have, yeah. So, you know, had it gone to him, I think we'd be having an entirely different conversation. Because I do genuinely believe there are two very good films in here, and there's one exceptional film if you could balance the two properly, and you don't here at all.
Yeah, no, we don't get that.
No, but there is definitely something in here. And those people that are calling it a satire and digging these things out of it, that is all there, and they are absolutely correct. I just feel like, unfortunately, it's lost amongst all of the shit. So, yeah, Nomi is clearly ill. Nomi is clearly damaged, and she needs help. And I feel uncomfortable in these early parts. Even though I dislike her immensely, I feel uncomfortable seeing the way that society is just chewing her up and spitting her out. It feels exploitative and almost voyeuristic, and we're almost complicit in it. And I don't like it, and I feel uncomfortable. And that is very good filmmaking, because that's what you're supposed to feel at this point.
Yeah.
Problem is they keep fucking it up.
I think the problem is that you get that, and you get to that point where you are feeling uncomfortable, and you are starting to think, right, okay, what's going on with it? And then when you get to the Cheetah Club, and you get all these varying ages of the same character, effectively, they're all girls who went there to dance and have ended up in a strip club, and you get the token fat loudmouth one who's just there to flash her tits, and you're thinking, okay, well, any subtlety, any nuance, anything they were going for, they've just completely pissed it away.
Yeah, they don't balance these worlds at all, and that's where it falls down. That, and as I say, I think we're getting to the point where we're starting to scratch at the surface of something with Nomi here, and if you gave us a bit more of the backstory here and you drip feed it more through here, I think I'm more willing to go on the journey with her. But because we then get into the club and she's just dancing everywhere and stuff, then you're just like, well, what happened to the crazy fucker that we saw 10 minutes ago? What's her damage? I want to know about it. But instead, no, we get the large lady whose tits keep falling out, complete with comedy sound effect, which is, however, fucking hilarious. And I'm here for it all day long. She is phenomenal. One of the best things in the film. She is excellent. I think she's fucking brilliant. So, yeah, I'm here for her all fucking day long. Fantastic. Far and away the best performance, I think.
Yeah.
So, and then, like, she obviously, Nomi has another breakdown. You know, we've had the scene already, I think, the first scene with Gina Gershon, where she says she's, like, goes in and she's dancing with her and she clocks her dancing, mimicking her movements and stuff, and just basically dresses her down, and she fucking blows her top again. That's where I say, like, we need to know what her damage is. But then they go to the club, and, just when you think, and actually, I've written a note here, and I'm going to take it back immediately, but I wrote it down, so I'm going to read it out, because this is, I kind of write these as a stream of consciousness as I'm watching the film. I don't pause to take notes, I just scribble them down. We've had already about half hour of just complete pitch into the stalls overacting. It is ridiculous. It is absolutely mental. So, who do you need when you think you can't get any more overacting possible? Who do you need when it can't get any fucking more inappropriate and weird? Oh, great. Here comes fucking Kyle MacLachlan. Look, I love him. Love him, right? He very rarely puts a foot wrong in my book. But you want a guy to pitch to the stalls, there's your man. But he doesn't do it here. He properly reigns. He gives a really good performance. It's the other Kyle MacLachlan here, because there are two of them.
I was going to say this is the one you don't want in this film.
Yeah, there are two of them, and both are excellent in the right context.
There's the good one, and there's the really extreme one.
Yeah,
and you want the extreme one here.
Good, yeah, when deployed properly.
Yeah, that's who you want here because it fits the tone. But no, we get very reserved. We get very, very competent, very measured acting.
He's very good. He's very, very good. I mean, his character is paper thin. It's clear from the outset what's going to happen with him. But, he plays it well. He's charming. He's smarmy. You could totally see how she gets sucked in. What you need is for him to go full on Kyle MacLachlan, fucking balls to the wall crazy at the end.
Yes.
But he doesn't. And that's annoying. So there's that. And then my next note, just by the by, I will never understand or get used to the way Americans say twat.
Yeah.
How does it become twat? Where does it? There's no O in it.
I don't know.
It is very clearly an A. It is very clearly twat.
But it's the way that Americans bastardize English. If you think of SWAT teams, that's SWAT, but it's a SWAT team, not a SWAT team.
That's a SWAT team. Yeah, okay, yeah, good point. But
it's ridiculous.
SWAT isn't a word that I use in my daily vocabulary, so I don't think twice.
But it's aluminum, isn't it?
Yeah, twat is a word that I do use fairly regularly. I call people a twat quite a lot. So to hear Americans say twat, I'm just like, what?
It's really annoying. You're
saying it wrong. What are you doing? Like, it's twat. It's clearly twat.
Yeah.
You twats. So yeah, they roll it out a few times in this film, but the first time here is here in the club. She said she's on stage and she's talking about a twat. I like, no, it's a fucking twat. So yeah, that's weird. And then the bouncer, who we've already seen her dance with the bouncer earlier on as well.
Yes.
Is it James?
James,
James, yeah. So they're setting up a kind of a thing. He's another despicable character right from the off. He's absolutely horrible.
He was another one. Going through the film, I don't think I ever fully understood the point of that character.
No, again, if we're going for exploitation, then yes, you understand why he's there. He's there to represent a very specific trope, essentially. He's the nice boy, isn't he? Essentially, he's gonna give her a shoulder to cry on. He's written this fucking dance routine just for her, but no, actually, he just wants to get his dick wet.
Yeah,
he's the soft boy in all of this.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those that you get that. No, that's there, but the film didn't need that extra storyline.
No, absolutely not. We do not need him whatsoever. But again, he feels like he belongs in that street level kind of character study where she's going to get chewed up and spat out.
Yeah.
That he feels like he belongs there, and that's fine. But then he has no place at all in the fucking glitzy Showgirls side of thing.
No, absolutely not.
So it's weird, but he shows up at the club.
He is important later on, because we've glossed over where we get the new girl coming in, whose name was Penny, to the club, and obviously he's important to her character later on. But there's the sequel we were talking about.
Importance and character are two things I dispute, but actually it sounds like you're about to say why.
So that Penny character, we discovered accidentally on whatever day it was that there's a sequel called Showgirls 2: Pennies from Heaven. It's about her.
Ah, okay.
Written and directed and starring her.
Really?
Made some 20 years later, so I'm fairly sure her career didn't ascend after that. But so I mean, if carrying on as that character, he would be important because obviously he knocks her up and.
I guess, but certainly. But again, it's the bait and switch of this, isn't it? They're setting him up as though he's going to be someone important. They're setting him up as though he's going to be a romantic lead, and then for us to have the bait and switch, but it doesn't work because it's actually the bait and switch of it all is resting actually on Nomi. She's the one that just basically teases him, and then I mean she's a cock tease.
Yeah.
And she just walks out on him. Like, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, because he absolutely does, but then that kind of rug pull of him being a secret asshole doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because she's unloaded on him already. Yeah. But he ends up going to see her at the strip club then, because he's a bouncer, isn't he, essentially?
Yeah.
So, but then he ends up but he's not a bouncer at the strip club, but obviously he works in these circles. So he goes to see her at the strip club. She ends up in there's this kind of weird relationship already going on between her and Gina Gershon, which again is the third film that's kicking around in here. Okay, the relationship between those two, and she ends up being forced into giving them a lap dance, which again, why is she so resistant? Like, literally 15 minutes ago, she was idolizing this woman. She said one fucking shitty thing to her, which wasn't even that shitty, to be honest.
And to be fair, in this scene, she then goes and proves her point for her.
Yes, exactly. So I don't understand where she's coming from this. But anyway, she goes and gives the dance. And the bouncer somehow manages to get into the private room to watch.
Yeah.
Like, I know it then
shifted after the everything.
I'm sorry, I have been in some strip clubs in my time. Not many, I'm fairly sure we talked about this a couple of weeks ago again. But that does not happen. You want in that room, you're paying for it.
Yeah, you pay up front.
Yeah, you don't just wander in. That is impossible. There are two of the biggest looking motherfuckers you've ever seen on that door.
Well,
I guarantee.
But they were. There was a massive dude there, and he just, it's almost like he clocks him as he walks past.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, that you don't get the friendly hand on the shoulder saying what you do, and you get one hand on your shoulder, and they won't breaking your arm behind your back as they drag you out.
Yeah. It's just fucking ridiculous. I mean, look, I don't know why I'm surprised, because we've already just called out the whole thing with Molly taking her home after spooning on the car and stuff as being ridiculous. But this is another thing that is just completely implausible.
Yeah.
But there, we get the dance with Kyle MacLachlan and Gina Gershon's watching, and like, actually, again, there's something between the three of them here. There is chemistry. I know they've been like pulled up for lack of chemistry between characters, but this scene is shot fairly well. There is. Don't get me wrong, they're not exactly setting the screen on fire, but you get what's going on here.
Yeah.
It's fine for what it does. And again, it feels like it's part of this set storyline. And now we're back into the Showgirls side of things, and we're off on this journey. So it's like we're flick-flacking back and forth between these two. We're 31 minutes in at this point, and I still fucking just hate Nomi, because she is just... her character makes no sense. It's like you said, you pulled the perfect comparison. I think she's fucking Theon Greyjoy. I mean, I know you were talking about Molly, but she literally just jumps from one mindset to another constantly. Yeah. And if we understood that that's because she has some issues, then fine, I understand her. But that is not explained at all. It's just left for us to go, she's fucked up.
Yeah.
And there's no excuse for her to act like this, because we haven't been given that excuse.
Well, that's it.
No.
And the other thing, there are just things that she does which don't ring true to any person ever, I don't think. I mean, so we talked about where where James writes the dance thing for her, and she goes back to his place to learn it and all the rest of it. And they start fooling around, and they're in the middle of kissing, and she said, "Oh, I can't, my period." So rather than him going, all right, okay,
we don't need to repeat the line.
It's just the whole thing of it's like, well, okay, surely A, that would have crossed your mind to begin with, and B, that's not how somebody proves it.
No, we'll get there. We've got a bit of time before we get.
I thought we passed that bit. There's so many, but it's a good illustration of the point. There are just so many things in this film which I don't think actual people would ever do, no matter how fucked up they are. I think there are things that they've really reached for in the script, which they're there to be sensational rather than to give any sort of representation of anything. Now,
this is the key. They're played to be sensational, I think, because of the way these productions don't meld. I think at this street level, at this character study level, I think actually that is understandable, Because look, fucking spoilers and shit, who gives a fuck? It's like 20 odd years old and everybody's seen it if you listen to this podcast anyway. When we get the reveal that actually, Nomi's grown up on the streets and she's been turning tricks for most of her life, and she's been in and out of juvie, and she's been in and out of jail, and she's raised herself. It makes sense, okay? Her growth is stunted. She has the mental age of a fucking teenage girl, because that's where she is. She's never had a stable home life and a good education, and so nobody's ever explained this stuff to her. Nobody's ever taught her that this is not how society functions. So you can understand her making these decisions, and you can understand her getting herself into that situation before going, oh shit, yeah, that's right, we can't. So I think all of that would work if we had that information.
Yeah, and I get that. So I get to that. I can get to that point where, yes, okay, there's other things going on, and it's not going to be the forefront of our mind. But just the whole action of, oh, really? It just doesn't.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. His actions are just deplorable. Just disgusting. We'll get to it when we get to it. But I think her actions are. I understand them, and
I think the problem is that we understand them with hindsight. I think that's the problem.
Well, the thing is, I understood them on the first watch through because I had piled all of this onto her myself. Now, I had done that because I knew we were doing this podcast and I was looking for it. Okay, but all they did at the end was just basically just back up everything that I had thought. Now, that because I'm piling on myself doesn't mean that I'm then going to go along with the ride for her, because I'm having to look for that, and the performance and the performance and direction isn't nuanced enough for us to get that enough and be sure in it. Then so again, it's all about this slow burn. She's too much, too full on all the time.
Yes.
And that's not to say, again, I'm sure there are people out there in the world that are like this. And if it was about her and about how she's dealing with this rather than just about her wanting to become a dancer, then that makes more sense. Then I get it, okay? But it's not, because we get half of that and then we have to go over for a big production number so everybody can get their tits out, and then we get a little bit more of that, and then we have to go for a fucking another production number and maybe some softcore lesbian stuff, and then we go back to that, and it's like, look, it's one or the other.
Yeah, pick what you're doing. Make the movie. Make our movie.
Yeah, or if you're gonna have the two, then it needs to be more balanced than this.
Yeah.
So that's the big issue all the way through. But I mean, yeah, before we even get there, there's some fucked up shit before that, because we get out of the club, and then we're back at the casino for a bit, and he's working as a valet, isn't he? He's working as a car valet outside. And just the dialogue that they exchange. First of all, come on, everybody got AIDS and shit. Is just what? Excuse me, what? I know it's the fucking early 90s, but come on, everybody's. I mean, that's our first clue, if we haven't them already, that he's an absolute asshole.
Well, yeah,
right? Because he automatically makes the assumption that she's actually fucking the guys.
Well, I mean, we've had clues already. So I mean, when she meets him in the club. And so he comes over and he says he'll teach her how to dance, and she don't want to hear it. So she ends up. I'm not entirely sure how it happened, but she ends up. Does she kick him in the nuts, and then he falls back into somebody else, and then starts a fight and all? So that's right. Okay. He then bails her out of prison, and it's not even passive aggressive. It's just fucking aggressive on his part, where he's pursuing her to a point where she's like, "Dude, I'm walking out of a police station. I can just turn around and walk back in."
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's horrible. He's horrible.
But it's almost as if she, again, like we're talking about her development stuff, and as it pays off later on, it's almost like she's encouraging it, because it's like attention, it's affection.
It definitely
she's mistaking it as affection. It's attention.
That's definitely there.
Rather than just telling him to fuck off, it's you want a cup of coffee? Here's a quarter. Go and buy a cup of coffee. Nobody's that fucking glib.
No,
in real life.
No, but you're right. It is part of the character. It's just one that it isn't explored enough. When we get her eventual real explosion at the end, I feel like had that been more slowly built to, it would have made a lot more sense. But it totally, things like tossing the quarter and stuff, like, nobody's that glib in real life, but it buys into the character they're trying to paint. And it's little things like that, I think, that we need more of, and less of the fucking full-on explosions. You know, it's little clues that she's a little bit damaged, and slowly unravel her past. You know, and look, if you want to do it through, if you want a big production, then for Christ's sake, this is the oldest trick in the book. Use the show to mirror the events in her past. It's fucking easy.
Yeah.
It's easy. And it doesn't even have to be direct, but you just use, you know, you get the whole S&M element coming into it later on. Use parts of that for abuse and things. Trigger her with that. So and then you can meld the two more. But anyway, they don't do that. So we get that line about, come on, everybody's got AIDS and shit, which is despicable. He's assuming that she fucks him. She puts him in his place straight away.
Yeah.
And then we get, but you fuck him without fucking him. I mean, I just lost my shit. I was laughing. Like, I had to pause it. This really is some of the worst dialogue I've ever heard. You fuck him without fucking him. The big problem, though, with all of it, and it's still at this point, because we haven't even really properly delved into the Showgirls stuff yet. The problem at this point is it's so earnest. And so when you get stuff like that, you're like, no, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. You're far too serious. And if you want to do that, then go full on for that.
Yeah.
Don't then throw in, come on, man, everybody's got AIDS and you fuck them without fucking them and kicking him in the balls. And don't do that. Just don't do it. So that's pretty bad. Then she goes dress shopping.
Yeah.
For a big fucking audition thing. And for a minute, it kind of feels like it's going to be Pretty Woman without the charm, or the star power, or the screenplay, or the anything. But it just feels like it's shooting for a fucking back alley Pretty Woman here for a moment. Which again, that's another type of film that it could pull off if it wants to do that. But it doesn't. It just occasionally.
That's the problem. It occasionally leans into these things, but it doesn't give you long enough to actually think, okay, that's what this is. That's where that's going. Because then it jumps around so much, you then forget about where you've been before. So
she goes for her audition. I spoke too early, actually. I spoke something wrong earlier on. I did say that I thought that the large lady was the best thing in the film by far. No, the producer, director, whatever he is, of the show, absolutely nails it. And absolutely every time he's involved with the Showgirl stuff, they nail the tone. You want satire, here it is. He absolutely nails it because he's exploitative without being aggressive.
Yeah.
And without putting anyone in any real danger. So he kind of gives you this gateway drug in, and then all of the danger can be bubbling away under the surface and stuff like that. And that's what Kyle MacLachlan and Gina Gershon need to offer up. But he is kind of the gateway drug. He's like, this is a fucked up environment that you're getting into. And I am here as a caricature to explain that. And he's excellent at it. He really absolutely nails his role and understands exactly what type of film he's in and exactly what his purpose is. And I think if everybody were able to do that, again, it would elevate the film massively. He doesn't take this seriously at all. He knows exactly what he's playing. Yeah. He's excellent at it. Absolutely excellent.
And you're right. Actually, he is a very good cipher for that world, because now the fact he says, you've had your nose fixed, your ears still stick out. Fuck off. Your boobs are too small. Your hair's the wrong color. Fuck. It's my
favorite when he looks at the one girl and just goes, okay, spell MGM backwards. Just fantastic.
Yeah, and it's that sort of thing. And as you said, that's the sort of thing. It's like, okay, well, there's a comment there that these people, no, they don't treat you like people. They treat you like cattle. Again, playing into the exploitation thing. Is that he very much knows that. You're just too ugly. You're too short. Fuck off. Nobody's interested in you. And again, it's these are the things that sort of, when I was looking, I was thinking, right, okay, well, if they are trying to say something here, it's these secondary characters who are the ones who are actually doing it and doing a good job of it. Your primary characters are just titillation.
They really are. Although this is the first point where I really kind of got behind Nomi. One of the only points in the film where I really got behind Nomi.
Because she's the underdog at this point, isn't she? You know,
she's the underdog, but it's also, again, we haven't had enough of it, but we've got this hint that she's sort of come from a rough background and stuff. They've been hinting at it. But again, this is the kind of thing that we need more of, because we see it come to the front. She doesn't blow a stack. Okay. She doesn't do anything untoward, he just fronts up to her and says, "What are you doing here?" And she just says, "I'm watching you be a prick."
Yeah.
And puts him right in his place. And that, I feel, is the kind of, that again, that's the kind of slow burn build that we need. For now, it just needs to be verbal with her. It just needs to be bubbling under the surface like, I have been through the ringer. I don't have time for your shit. Rather than this explosion that she has in this tantrum. That comes when she's famous. Because then you can see how this character that she is now would multiply into that. Of like, I still don't have time for your shit, but now I have money and power. Yeah. So now I'm going to have a full-on Divas drop. But she has the Divas drops too fucking early. That's the problem. Because stuff like this, if she's just unpleasant at this point, fine, you can go with that. You know, what are you doing here? Watching you be a prick. And of course that endears her to him as well.
Yeah.
So like I genuinely enjoyed that moment. I thought she was really good there. And that's the first time I've got behind her as a character. It's the first time I really feel like I understood her. I think it is there. But
that's the thing. I mean, this is the first time she's really stepped out and shown any sort of mettle. It's the first time where we've seen her being a bit spunky and actually a bit feisty and going, okay, well, I realise this is a game, so I'm going to play along. No, because I mean, when she goes in, I think he calls her Pollyanna, doesn't he? Yeah. And again, we've seen her have her tantrums at this point, but she goes off, so fuck that. And you expect her to storm off, but actually she goes to the makeup table, does her makeup, takes her shirt off, gets herself, and I thought, okay, well, I completely misjudged this situation because everybody else has got the tits out, and I'm here, I'm fully clothed. Let me sort that out. Now, when it comes to the end of the audition, and she's in a different fucking costume altogether, and she leaves just with the same red shirt on, that was a bit of a problem for me.
Yeah.
But this is the first time we thought, okay, well, fair enough. She's gone, you know what, this is what I want. And every time so far, I've tried to do something I want. I've tried to express myself. I've been shot down because I'm a timid little girl who doesn't fight her own corner. I just get really fucking het up. Mm. And this is the first time she went, well, no, I'm watching you being a prick because you're being a prick. And she's using a bit more now, so she's showing a bit more spine. And you're right, actually. I hadn't really thought about it, but it's the first time you actually go, yeah, all right, fair enough. No, this is actually something she wants. It's not just something else she's going to give up on. Because the expectation is that she came to be a dancer, and within 6 weeks she's ended up at a strip club.
Yeah,
and I know this is a different strip club, but this is a strip show at a casino rather than a brothel, effectively. But it's the same sort of thing. But so all of a sudden it's like, okay, she is actually willing to fight for something.
Yeah, but the problem is that feels like a completely different character to everything that we've had in the last half an hour. So as I say, what we needed to do was build to this, and now here's a turning point. Okay, here's the start of Act 2. She's all of that stuff's behind her. She's on her way. She stood up for herself. But yeah, everything to this point hasn't really led us here in the way that it should. But I'd be willing to, like, this is generally at this point, I kind of thought, oh, here we go. This is going to be all right now. All of that street level stuff, which wasn't really working for me, because it's a totally different film. But one I would watch, but it's not fitting here. Okay, all of that stuff's going to fall by the wayside now, and we're off and away, and we're going to get into the show side of it. And we're understanding her character. So I was trying to think, okay, we're off and away here. But then immediately she reverts back to the spoiled child for no good reason whatsoever. She's literally just been handed everything she wants on a plate. Yeah. And she just acts like a spoiled child and throws it straight back in Gina Gershon. I've forgotten Gina Gerson's character
Crystal
already. That's it, Crystal. Throws it straight back in her face because she doesn't want it from her because she said something pissy to her once.
Yeah.
What? That makes no fucking sense whatsoever. This is ridiculous. And this is a big problem with this chunk of the film, actually, is I don't think it's ever really fully explained or made explicit as to why she's got it in for Crystal. Because Crystal doesn't have it in for her. She's just toying with her.
Yeah, I mean, I think
if anything, it's affectionate.
I think the comment was along the lines of, no, I don't know what you do at the cheetah, but it's not dancing. Because as we clearly see, it's not a dancey place. It's where you go to get laid.
Yeah, but even when she says it, it's not catty. She's if anything, as I say, it's slightly coy and affectionate. It's not. She's by no means being a bitch in that scene. She's not trying to be a bitch. There's no malice intended there. Like, she just, Nomi just goes off the deep end and holds a grudge forever. Yeah. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. Even if she is damaged, like that's a lot. That is a lot. Like maybe, if it had already been established, and we only got the one scene where she was mimicking Crystal's move, but maybe if she had like Crystal Connor's posters up in the trailer and
she
was
knew
her
who the
like
fuck she was,
if this was Rex Manning, which it's not because we have Rex Manning later on, but worse.
Yes.
But if this was Rex Manning, then you'd get it.
Yeah,
but,
and that was the comparison I was going to make actually, because we do get him, but worse later on.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We'll get there as well. So yeah, that whole bit is just instantly annoyed me, and then we get the stuff with James again, where we get the dance sex interrupted by her period, which is just. I mean, I've literally just written double underlined. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why does that scene even need to be
there?
This
is what I was saying earlier on. Is that whole arc with I call it an arc in the loosest possible sense. That whole story with James, it just doesn't serve any purpose because they don't do anything with it.
No, it serves no purpose. But just the fact as well of like there are 1,000,001 ways that she ends this scene with the power on a high note, and none of them need to involve her having her period.
No, and actually,
like I said, there's something there. Yeah, go on.
So as before we even get there, we get the scene where they're in the car and they're driving back to his place in the beginning, and she's eating a cheeseburger, and we've had this thing where she eats cheeseburgers. Okay, that's a character thing. Fine, whatever. And she automatically pissed me off because she's in the seat, but she sat on the top of the seat.
Yeah.
Which for fuck's sake, who does that? It just wrecks the seat. But also, she gets a burger wrapper and doesn't just to let it go. She fucking hurls it out the side of the car. Who does that?
She also does that thing which seems to become shorthand for ditzy trailer trash blonde in a film, which is takes a massive bite out of a burger and then chews with her mouth open like a cow. Yeah. That really winds me up.
Yeah.
Like, why does anybody do that? Nobody does that once they're past fucking 10. Like,
the only thing I'm glad of, because I have that thing whereby the sound of people chewing makes me want to kill myself.
Yeah.
So at least you didn't get that.
Yeah, true. You didn't get that.
Because I find I have to, when we're eating at home, I have to leave the table when the kids, if the TV's not on or there's not a radio on, so I can't sit and eat with them. Yeah, because I just get that slapping noise, that sort of gum slapping noise, and I want to kill them both. So I have to leave the table. So at least we didn't get that, but we got the stupid bit with her chewing with her mouth open. And...
I don't get that, but that is something that does annoy me, and you see it. You like now, if you haven't noticed it before, listeners, now I've called it out. You watch every time there is like a ditzy trailer trash blonde trope in a film. You watch them eat a fucking, and it's always a cheeseburger.
Oh yeah,
you watch them eat that cheeseburger. This is a thing. It just winds me up. So yeah, we don't need the whole thing with the period, but again, there is an argument to be made again for it being character information. As I say, she doesn't understand how, that is. She doesn't understand other people and she doesn't understand society. So I get that, but again, it's not her that's bad. It's him, where he immediately responds with, "I've got towels." What the actual fuck? Like, listen, dude, this is wrong on so many levels, mate. Right? First of all, she just told you she doesn't want to fuck you, so that's that. Whether you've got towels or not, she has said no. That is that. Yeah. Okay.
Also, there's not South Park.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Like, also, who does that? Really? Like.
But again, surely that rings alarm bells because he's a single man living alone. So why does he have sanitary towels?
And why do you even go? Like, they're obviously doing it for a cheap laugh, okay? But why do you even go to that as a character? Now, let's work this through, okay? We're men. We can work this through. She says no because I'm on my period. How does he then go to "I've got towels" instead of "Okay, give me a blowy"? Like, how is that not where he goes? How?
Yeah. But I don't. I can explain that. I can explain that. This is a reach.
Okay.
So he at this point they're still trying to sell him as this less seedy, less lecherous bloke. So he's in direct comparison to Al, the owner of the Cheetah,
right?
Whose signature line is all about blowjobs. So maybe they're trying to set him apart, that he's not a complete twat. Not twat. That actually, he's a decent bloke who just tried to finger her while she's on a period. But so maybe that's where that's trying to set him apart and setting him a standard above before they then relieve he's a complete douche monkey.
Maybe, but I think the audience already knows he's a douche monkey by this point, and she's already turned him down. So if anything, drawing the comparison there then with the guy from the company actually strengthens that case. You actually get a bit of synergy there. So, I mean, if you really wanted to kind of just maybe draw the comparison but pull away from it a little bit, handy. Do you know? I mean, also that would then, like the whole thing about I'm on my period, I got towels and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's gross, but bearing in mind her background, if he then immediately turns around and says, "Okay, give me a blowy," you can then understand how that would immediately trigger her and immediately trigger that reaction. Yeah, because she's used to turning tricks. So for a guy to exert his aggression on her that way and say, well, okay, then you can't do that, but you are going to do this, you could understand how that would set her off. As it is, this scene is just disgusting and comically bad.
Yeah.
Because I have to laugh at it, because otherwise I am disgusted by it. It just all kinds of wrong. I don't even know why. Just fucking. And it's wrong because the power's in the wrong place. That's the issue. Is that he is forcing the issue with her. She has said no, and he's just like continually. Thankfully, she fucks off and walks out. So we end it all good, but just weird. So she storms out because she doesn't.
Well, no, this is really fucking weird. But actually, she leaves, but she half runs, half stumbles down the lane, and there happens to be a waiting taxi there. Now, I'm fairly sure when they were driving there, they were in fucking back alleys and on like some sort of industrial park.
Yeah.
But there just happened to be a taxi there.
Now here's the really weird thing, okay? She first ends up with him doing this dance thing because she storms out of the audition because she doesn't want the job, which she hasn't yet got at that point. She's just like, I'm done with this. I'm out. So she goes with him, and again, we're back to the other story now where he's writing, because he's this sensitive artist and he's writing this play for her, and we're back at street level now where, you know, it's all fucking weird street level boho kind of stuff, right? So she runs out with him. That doesn't work out. She then finds out she's got the job and takes the job, even though 2 minutes ago she didn't want. Okay, so this is a bit of a mess. And then the first person she goes to tell is she immediately runs to tell him, who she's just run out on and who she's just spent the last 5 minutes talking to about how she didn't want the job anyway, and they're going to do their own fucking thing.
Yeah.
And she's mad because he's with another woman. Like, look, he's disgusting. He's despicable.
But
he doesn't owe her anything.
No,
at this point.
And even to what he says that, no, we've got no,
and he's right.
We've got no ties. He's absolutely right.
They're not in a relationship. They were just gonna fuck each other. Like this was just free and easy sex, which she turned down. And
she turned down. He went elsewhere.
And he's a douchebag, but I think he's perfectly within his rights to do this.
Yeah.
You know, but and this again now is where I've written here, like I really feel like there's something here in this film. I feel like there's a point to be made about exploitation. Everybody's trying to exploit her. He's trying to exploit her. The company are trying to exploit her. But she is so obnoxious. She's just so obnoxious that this doesn't land.
Yeah.
It doesn't land at all. For this to land, she needs to be innocent first.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, the whole point of this is that she should be discovering this huge fucking thing that just knocks the wind out of the sails.
Yes.
But actually, she doesn't have a right to be angry about it.
No, because she is complicit in all of this shit. Like, she brings all of this on herself. That is the problem.
Yeah.
She is self-destructive. And as I say, there's a narrative there, but that's not what they go for. They try and set it up like it's supposedly some huge sort of seedy underbelly type situation, but it's not, because she's completely complicit in all of this. I actually kind of hate myself for the way this film makes me feel, if I'm honest. This film just makes me feel grotty. And it's supposed to, right? It is supposed to, but I feel like it doesn't do it well enough. So I don't know, it confuses me. This film confuses me because it makes me kind of, like, as I say, I hate Nomi, and I feel like she brings all of this on herself. But then also, the other characters' attitudes towards her are disgusting. So I don't feel, for instance, like I should be defending that guy, but he's entirely in the right.
Yeah.
So I kind of got to.
Yeah, it's difficult as well, because I mean, certainly by this point, the only character who looks like they've got any sort of interest in Naomi's well-being is Molly.
Yeah.
But even then, you can argue, well, yeah, okay, so no, she took her in, but no, she took this job on her behalf, more or less.
Yeah.
No, this job she just spent 10 minutes telling she doesn't want.
Yeah.
She said, "Oh, call him back now. I'll tell you what, I'll call him for you."
Yeah.
It's like that thing when you're a kid, but no, your parents, so go and get a paper on, go and work in the corner shop. I don't want to. I want to stay play PlayStation all day. Fuck off. You're going to get a job, and they arrange it for you. Yeah. It's that sort of thing. It's like, hang on, what happened to fucking free will?
I mean, to be fair, Molly probably just wants her out of the fucking house.
Well, yeah, to be fair, it's a really small trailer to begin with.
Yeah. So yeah, I really fucking this film makes me uncomfortable. It really does. And like I said, I feel like it's a success on some level because it's supposed
to, yeah.
But it just doesn't.
I think the problem is, I think it's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable for the reasons we've been talking about in terms of what it's saying and all the rest of it. But actually, it's for the wrong reasons that you actually feel uncomfortable. It's because actually. Yes. Yeah, her character is just so much of a fucking shit.
Yeah.
That you don't want to root for her at all.
No, and again, like, that's not to say, like, yeah, she's a shit because she's fucking crazy. She clearly has issues, and society has done this to her. Mm. And so I feel like I should be sympathizing with her, but I can't because she's so fucking horrible and it's so nonsensical. Anyway, one of the best running gags in the film, expertly pulled off by all involved. Versace, I think, is excellent. Again, it feels like low rate Pretty Woman though. But it's good. It's funny. I got it at Versace, and they all play into it. Again, the exploitation is coming to the fore. Yeah, just give her what she wants because she's in the show now.
Just pat her on the head and tell her, no, give her a cookie.
Yeah. And then we get like another really fucking great scene. We're introduced properly to Gay for the first time.
Yeah,
who is great. That's two likable characters we've got now. Three, in fact, if you include the large lady in the strip club. Okay, so we've got the producer, director, whatever he is, that large lady, and Gay, and then Gay taking her through the motions. You know, you eat brown rice and vegetables, and this is your mirror. This is all of that. Great, and again, it feels like different film again. We're back over in the same film we were in the audition. She's the underdog. She's starting out. This is what she wants. I'm fine with this. I'm up for this. Right, but we got taken away from it and thrown back into it. Right, okay, fine. Then we kind of get the strongest hint, really, in it. Well, not hint, and she flat out says it. We find out her family is dead. Her family is deceased, she says. Now, that much has been obvious from the very first fucking scene.
Yeah.
It was there in the performance. Again, as I say, I think she's playing what's there. So we know
we had before that as well. So I mean, we had it where she's doing the she's learning the dance and she's on her back doing the pelvic thrusts, and the ginger guy whose name I can't remember, he's got his head right in the crotch, and he's doing, she's all pelvic thrust, but she's got it. She's doing really well. And she again says to the producer, "No, I don't know where she's learned it or where she does it." Oh, she's learned it, but they don't teach it in a class. So again, we get this illusion of the fact that she does have this sort of slightly seedier past. Yeah. So we are, there are bits like that in this film.
And it's
Who's the ginger guy?
I don't know. I thought I recognised him as well.
Yeah, I've been trying to work out where I recognise him from for about 2 days now.
Mm. But but you're right. That's all starting to come to the fore, and it does now feel like if this had followed directly, the scene with Naomi saying, "I'm watching you be a prick," and she hadn't stormed out, and this had followed that.
Yeah,
I really feel like we'd be starting to gather momentum because that's what it feels like. We find out this stuff about her parents, which we did sort of get alluded to earlier on. I picked that up, but if we'd explored that a little bit more instead of spending all this time dicking around with John and all of that, then maybe we'd be a bit more sympathetic to her as well.
Yeah.
And then I've written, like, now we're at the show, like now we're in it, and she's getting trained and she's going on stage and stuff like that. It is a totally different film.
Yeah.
Totally different. And a lot of the earlier problems that we were having, saying she's acting unrealistically and the dialogue's bad and all that, they were just accentuated by this kind of street level gritty realism. As I said, if they weren't trying to be so stark and realist about it and trying to do this big character study, then it wouldn't have felt so ridiculous. And if they'd have just stuck with this tone that they've got now, I think it might have worked. And again, I said it earlier, but I think if you'd have handed it to somebody like Schumacher, he would have made that work. You still would have had some of that character info, you still would have had the strip club, but all of that shit with John, just bin it off.
Yeah.
Or James rather.
James,
just bin it off. Just fucking bin it off. Okay, you don't need it. You go from the pickup truck to Vegas to the first meeting with I've got her name again, Crystal, to the strip club, back to the show. This is your character arc. This is where you need to go. So
yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I came into this and I was at the start. No, I don't know why we do this to ourselves every fucking month. But you're right. I think the problem here is it's not the film it should be.
No,
because there's too much crap. There's too much noise in it.
Yeah, there is, and that noise extracted out and played as his own film, I think would be good as well.
The only thing I do think with this film is it's everywhere I look, it's branded as an erotic drama. It's supposed erotic as a fucking spoon. It's porn.
Well, yeah, it is porn. It's flat out porn. It's just tits and ass everywhere.
Yeah, it's softcore porn. It's not fucking erotic. It's just softcore porn. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, I think that was why my dad was so disappointed with it. He was expecting another Basic Instinct, and he's like, "Well, no, this is just a porno and a bad one at that. Like, there's a story here. This isn't erotic. This is Anyway, so she goes outside and has another conflab with James, and he's playing the victim. And I feel like I feel like we're supposed to feel something for him here because Kyle MacLachlan shows up then in his fucking Ferrari or whatever he's driving and just basically makes James look like a total dick, which he is.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I may have defended his decision earlier because I think it was right, but he's a dick. I don't feel sorry for him at all. So this scene doesn't work whatsoever.
No,
at all, because you painted him to be a total dick with all the period stuff, and I think even the sleeping with the other girl, like, as long as if he hadn't tried to force himself on Naomi, I think he could have got away with that, and I might have felt at least a little bit sympathetic from here. But I don't, because he's a dickwad. So
the thing is as well, I mean, whether it would make that much of a difference, I'm not sure. But given the way his character's coming across at this point, it would have been far more effective if it wasn't another dancer and he just picked up another one. It was a fucking wife or a long-term girlfriend.
Yep.
So just to really cement the fact that he's a complete cunt nugget.
Yep. That would make sense.
Not the fact that he's just a chancellor and he's out trying to pick up whatever he can pick up, which could have been the herb for all I care. But it would have been again a lot more effective because that way then she has more reason to feel aggrieved.
Yep. Totally. So yeah, no sympathy from him whatsoever. Kyle MacLachlan's great. We get another scene then between her and Crystal, and just look, what is her problem with Crystal? This needs to be explored explicitly, otherwise none of this works, and it doesn't. Every time she's on screen with Crystal, I'm just like, stop being such a cunt to her. Like, she's the boss.
It's like there needs to be some sort of conversation where there's actually some honesty.
Yeah,
everything is posturing between them, and it's all Nomi's end. Crystal is there, and Crystal is there. No, I've been you. I know where you are. I've seen your career because I did it myself. So I've done this. Take my advice. Take what I'm offering you. Learn from it. And Nomi's response is, I don't need anything from you. Well, actually, you do, because you need the job. They're not going to fire her. They'll fire you. So take what she's offering. Learn from it. But instead, she's just an absolute bitch about it.
Yeah, and like everything that Crystal ends up doing to her, which isn't much, but she sets her up with the businessmen and stuff like that. All of that.
It's just fucking mean girl shit, isn't it?
Sorry, Nomi deserves it as well. Like, Crystal is trying to be nice to her, gets her the job.
Yeah.
And okay, she's a bit spiky, but that's just her character. Like, she's genuinely trying to look out for her. I genuinely believe she is at the start.
No, she's trying to give her a leg up. She's trying to get her started.
Because she does see herself in her, and yes, she wants to fuck her, right? Fine. But then Naomi just throws it back in her face, and then we get this exchange between them as well, where she says, maybe you are a whore, but I'm not. And again, like, Naomi's backstory is clear as day here. Like, it's clear as day. So just fucking give it to us. Stop making me work so hard for it. There's a time for subtlety, and this isn't it. Not in this fucking film.
No.
Just give it to us. Give us the backstory. It will help so much.
Well, that's the thing, because I said I got to. I mean, I haven't seen it for years until this week. I got to about 3/4 of the way through before I actually started thinking, hang on. I remembered it. I was like, oh yeah, this is coming, isn't it? Because I was just that fucking nonplussed with it. But yeah, you're right. I mean, in some respects, this film is as subtle as a house brick.
Mm.
But then when it comes to actual story and building a character in a way that makes sense in terms of what we're seeing on screen, it's like, okay, you're not going to bother doing that then. Oh, no, wait, you did it. Okay, fine, great. Oh, that's the end. Fantastic.
And again, it's this weird. It falls into this weird no man's land where if this were a more realistic, then if this were that street level character drama type thing, then this would be too overstated. A line like this, you know, maybe you are a whore, but I'm not, and the way she lives it, then that would be too overstated. That you may as well have big flashy neon lights saying used to be a whore, right? And that would be too much. Stylistically, it's out of whack. But then on the flip side of things, then when we got this big grand production thing and she's acting like a bitch and we're supposed to be sympathetic to her, it's not enough. So it's like it's in this weird no man's land again, just like the two stories are. Like, just pick a side, pick a fucking side. But yeah, that scene plays out and the two of them start to bond and we get Dance Sex Part 2. But it's very, very short, no foreplay or anything. They're just straight into it and it goes nowhere. Like, I don't know if it was supposed to be erotic, but it really fucking wasn't. Dirty dancing, this ain't. And then we get the setup then at the boat show, which, you know, it has something to say. Clearly the boat show is trying to say something, about the attitude of the way that the casino is just buying and selling these girls, like their merchandise and the attitude towards, you know, big corporations and stuff like that towards women. It's got something to say, but we fucking hate Nomi, so it doesn't land.
Well, this
again,
is
if not even if she was innocent to it, that's the wrong word. It's if at least she had a strong moral compass. Do you know what I mean? And realized what was going on and was made to feel uncomfortable, but thought that maybe she should go along with it because she really wants this job.
Well, yeah, that's it. Because I mean, you've got the other girl who's there, whose name I can't remember, the redhead, and she's really reluctant.
She's playing it right.
Yeah, she's reluctant to go along in the first place. She's like, oh, yeah, okay, I know what this is.
Yeah,
I need money. I'm gonna. She goes into it with her eyes wide open, and you think again with Nomi's background, you think how does she not fucking recognize this setup?
Yeah, and then it just gets to the point where she once again explodes, runs off to Cal McLaughlin. And of course, again, like this is where we start to peel back the curtain then, where he says, oh yeah, I'll deal with this now, and he calls the guy up and dresses him down, and then as soon as she's out the door, he's fucking laughing about
you
it.
Stupid fucker, come back.
You stupid fuck, come back. Look, I thought that was quite well handled. I
did too, actually. I thought, because I mean, it's that thing whereby we know he's at this point we know he's not the fucking the knight in shining armor, that she's looking for.
We know exactly from day one. It was obvious what he was.
We know that he's not what she thinks he is, so that's fine. So as soon as this thing comes, when he pulls him in and gives him a dress, and I'm thinking, hang on, where's that come from? Because at no point have we seen him express any concern over anybody's well-being up until now. So why all of a sudden is he going to do this? And then you get the phone call, you stupid fucker, come back. I said, right, okay, there he is. But again, it's that very good commentary of saying, they don't. These are pieces of meat.
This is the best I think they do at getting that over. This scene worked perfect. This is the kind of tone that it needs, and this is that blending of the two. But we don't get it very often. But here, I think it's a dramatic scene. Everybody plays their part well in it. And we get the message across rather than it being overblown or rather than it being fucking subtle as anything. Like this is pitched perfectly well and it works because of it. So that's good. And then we get, I think, one of my favorite scenes where it turns out that that the larger cabaret lady and the sleaze guy from the club have come to watch her in the show. And again, like in this story, if this is the story we followed through and not all the James stuff, this is really nice. This is a nice mid actual point.
Yeah,
You've done it.
She's achieved something.
We're proud of you.
Yeah,
you know, and even he's really sweet, you know, and a great line when he's walking through the door, and again just brings us back into the world again by turning around and saying, "Huh, must be weird not having anybody come on you."
Yeah,
it just spat coffee at that point.
That was the line I had to pause it because I was laughing so much.
Fantastic, but it works as well, doesn't it? Because it's been such a heartfelt scene, and actually this is, I think, thus far the only actual journey of the film, because she's gone from those two, and even on her last day when she was leaving, they were like, "You'll be back, you'll be back, you're not going to make it, you'll be back, you'll be back."
We've seen this before. Everyone thinks that you're good for us, but you always come back.
Yeah, and then they go and see her and say, "No, actually, you are a really good kid, you're going to make it." You know, and they're the old hands the town has chewed them up and spat them out. You know, they're everything that she doesn't want to be. So for them to say, you're not like us, you're going to make it, and it's nice. It's a really nice.
Probably forget where she,
gets her tits out.
Gets the tits out, and that's all. That's all it is. And you're right. It's a really nice scene. Well, it's probably what passes for a nice scene in this film, because as I say, she gets her tits out, and you get the line about nobody coming on you. So
Yeah, but it works because it's tonally and it's tonally right for the showgirl narrative of the film. Not the fucking James Street level dirty dancing, whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like it works for that other version of the film, so that's fine. So then we get into this series of scenes with Kyle MacLachlan then, where she's fucking like goes home with him and stuff and starts doing coke, and we have what is, without any shadow of doubt, the most ludicrous sex scene I have ever seen in my life. Like, you want to talk about overacting? It looks like she's having a fucking fit. Like it looks like she's just me, right?
I don't know if it was just me. I was half hoping he'd fucking drown her.
I mean, it's not far off waterboarding the way he's holding her under that fucking fountain.
Well, that was it. And then I mean, yes, the way she's hanging off him at this point, he's sort of out on the wall. His hand is sort of here on the top of her chest and the bottom of her neck. I'm just waiting for her to push her back.
It's
just fucking drown her and do us all the favours. About half an hour left at this point.
It is ludicrous. She really looks like somebody's thrown a toaster in the pool. Like it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's absolutely ridiculous. Worst sex scene I think I've ever seen in my life. It's absolutely fucking ludicrous.
It did. I always sort of think when you get some those scenes which are really overplayed, it always makes me think of the one in Team America.
Yeah.
And that sprung to mind when I was watching that last night.
Terrible. And then I've made a note here that Nomi totally deserves what she gets from Crystal. I'm not sure what Crystal did to her at this point. Oh, it's the understudy thing, wasn't it? The understudy thing. All of a sudden, Crystal's like, "No, I don't want you for my understudy." And again, actually, like, yeah, it's a dick move, but it's a power play here, and it feels like she deserves it. It feels like this is Crystal going, "Look, actually, just remember, I got you this fucking job.
Yeah, I'm the fucking star.
I'm the star of the show. Fucking get back in your box, sweetheart."
Yeah, wind your neck in.
Yeah, and it feels right.
Yeah, it feels earned.
Yeah, it does. So she totally deserves it. And then we get this fucking weird BDSM scene that they do, which all of a sudden this film has almost as much fetish gear as Mario. Like, I don't know if it's better than Mario, but it almost has as much fetish gear as Mario. Spoiler, it ain't better than Mario. But it's got almost as much fucking fetish gear in it at this point. And then, like, this is where she snaps then when they're coming down the stairs.
Yeah.
And, like, this is where you realize, like, Nomi is an actual psychopath. She's not. She hasn't just got problems. She's psychotic. She actually is a. There are two Nomis. Okay, and when she gets riled, it's like she just loses the fucking plot. She just completely sees red and just goes off the handle completely. Now, there's a nice callback as well. We didn't mention it, but there's this kind of slight B plot between these two other dancers who share a table and they hate each other. And Nomi earlier on sees one of them throw some pearls on the stage, whatever they are. So one trips and breaks a leg and says nothing because, you know, snitches get stitches. Yeah. So it's the right call. And then there's a beautiful callback here then where the one that Nomi's not stuck up for but didn't grass up sees exactly what Nomi does when she pushes Crystal down the stairs and just comes to a defense and just says, no, Nomi was nowhere near her. And
Yeah,
she
she was
fell.
miles away.
I saw it. I saw it. And again, there's something nice there about that, in that if we'd have played this film differently and we have sympathy for Naomi, and now we see this is a turning point where actually this industry has got his claws into her. She's done coke. She's banged the boss. She's getting too big for her boots. And now actually she's done something horrific.
Yeah.
And then if the person that springs to her defense then is the person that earlier on we were supposed to be with her thinking, ooh, maybe she should grass her up, but she didn't. Yeah. Like she's now complicit in that act as well.
Yeah. I mean, there was an element of this, which, I mean, I've not seen it for a good number of years now, but it struck me there was a bit of, in the way her character changed, an element that Aronofsky borrowed in Black Swan, where you do get the very disparate sides of the. And I know that obviously that's taken from Swan Lake and the rest of it, but there was very much you very much got that feeling, whereby as you said, there are two characters.
You took the wind out of my sails there for my closing paragraph. We don't discuss it. We save everything for the. That is the comparison I was going to draw at the end, in that actually the film that this wants to be is Black Swan.
Yeah.
That is the film this absolutely wants to be, but with more tits and ass. And actually, as I've said, I think it could be.
Yeah.
If they'd been more focused. Like, Black Swan is fucking phenomenal film. It is absolutely superb. It's an all-timer for me, that film, all right? So this is never going to be that good.
No.
But that's definitely what I pulled similarities out of it all over the shop. You're dead right. It's very much on the same tangent. And I feel like had this been better controlled and had we had a singular narrative that wasn't branching off all over the place, then that's what Nomi's character study should be. It's like I am becoming just obsessed with becoming this showgirl and my onstage persona, and the fact that she's come from nowhere and all of a sudden she's in this glitzy. That works, and that works with the exploitation angle, and it works when she flips. All of that works, and I think that would have got the message across, because then you just make it more explicit than Black Swan is going to be, which is much more nuanced. But this is then. Yeah. You know, that's Nomi's character, but the actual story is about how this society is chewing her up and spitting her out, rather than how she's slowly descending into madness.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do that. But you are dead right. That is the best comparison for this film, I think. That is absolutely what it could be if it was handled better. But yeah, we realize that she's actually she's actually criminally insane. There's no two ways about it. Like, she definitely is. Okay, and actually this comes at the right point in the film. It's just that we haven't had the slow build to it that we need, and we don't understand why she hates this character. More time spent with Crystal and less time spent with James would have got us here. And
it would have. And I mean, not only that, we'd have seen more glimpses of her character as well. We've had more time with this, and rather than just having these temper tantrums and flouncing off.
Yes,
we'd have actually seen her just be a little bit more creative, a little bit more vicious sometimes. And no. Okay, we had the bit with the switchblade at the start, which was fucking terrible. But we know they've already alluded to the fact this character does have a self-reported mean streak.
Yes.
So let's build on that. Let's do away with all the shit with James. Let's build on that for 10 minutes throughout the course of the film. So when she pushes her down the stairs, we think, oh right, okay, well. Didn't necessarily see her doing that, but it's been coming. It's been building to that, not just right. Okay, boom.
She's actually Daenerys Targaryen, isn't she? She's the Daenerys Targaryen that people think Daenerys Targaryen is in season 8, where they go, never saw that coming. Why did she do that? No, that's what this is. Yeah. That's what this is. She's like it's just under the surface here, whereas in Game of Thrones it's blatant, but it's the same thing. It's like, and as you say, I think maybe the switchblade. Even that could have worked really well as a scene if, for instance, that had happened with James, where he's pushing it, and so all of a sudden out comes the switchblade, and she's like, no, you listen, you back off, motherfucker.
Yeah.
If the guy at the start had just been more of a slap even, or just some harsh words, or just very clearly saying, look, no, I'll get it, or the actual one is just stop the fucking van, I'll get out, fuck you.
Well, that's it, because I mean, he threatens to kick her out a couple of times, doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, and if you want to show that she's a bit mental, just have her open the door and jump out.
Yeah, either open the door and not jump out, because as soon as she opens the door, he's gonna stop.
Yeah, and that's enough. We don't need the switchblade, and you can escalate to the switchblade, and then by the time you get into you get into the sort of end of Act One transit. No, actually, the dance scene we're into Act Two, so you get that slight pullback then of actually, whoa, fucking hell, she is mental. But then off we go again, and we have enough time to kind of forget about it a little bit as she's ascending to power, and then actually, no, bang, here it comes. She is literally fucking crazy. She is criminally insane. So yeah, pushes her down the stairs, and then Nomi ascends to the top, as you would expect. That's where this narrative is going. The problem is that we still don't know where she came from for this to mean anything. All we know is she wants to be there. For us to feel this,
well, that's the thing. She said, I came from different places. Well, what different places? What hardship? Why do we want to root for you? Why is any of this important?
Yeah, exactly. Rocky, she fucking ain't. So, and then Molly starts to take it out on her a bit. She's like, look at what you've become. I know what you did. Don't let it suck you in. All of this.
Yeah.
And then they literally deal with that in the space of one conversation, as you were saying.
Well, it's not even that. So they have this argument where she's, I don't know, the one who said you weren't anywhere there, she was looking the other way. So I know you did it because I know she didn't see you not do it. So they have that argument. She's like, look at what you become. Look at what you're becoming. You're not the Naomi I know, or whatever it is. And off she goes. And so they've had an argument. And then all of a sudden, they're having this party for Naomi.
Before that, take a step back. They're having an argument, and Cal McLaughlin has said that he's going to throw a party. That's what kicks the argument off.
Yeah, that's right.
He's going to throw the party, and Rex Manning, whatever it is, I didn't write his character's name. Alex Garver's going to be there, okay? And she goes to tell Molly, and Alex Garver's like, Molly's his super fan. This is all she wants, is to meet this guy. They call out to it earlier in the film, and it's a nice callback here as well, where he's on the poster. It's one day I'm going to meet him, and I'm going to, what is it? I can't use my hand or something like that.
I can't thread a needle anymore.
Can't thread a needle anymore. That's it. That's a beautiful callback when we get that as well. Actually, there are some really nice touches in this film. Okay, which again, just like with Game of Thrones, proves that it can be done. But yeah, they're going to have this party, but she's in the middle of having this bust up with Molly, and she says, "Look, Molly, you've got to come to the party. Molly, it ain't a party without you," and that's lovely. Like this bust up between them, and that sentiment of like actually, Molly's her only friend, really. And there's something there, and it's more of that stuff again that we need in this story. Molly is her Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah.
Okay, she's the one who'd be like, that was wrong, Naomi. Like you should have done.
And that's the thing. I mean, you never have that point in this film, and I think it's possibly missing from their narrative. But you would generally have, yes, you're my only friend, so I'm going to fuck you over. I'm going to abandon you for everybody else.
Yes,
but we don't get that.
No. And again, I've written at the end of this sentence, and that is the exact sentiment. There really could be something here if we spent more time with it. This is another thing of showing how ultimately ruthless and crazy she is. Of like, I will fuck Molly over, and I don't care because I'm a fucking sociopath as well. Like, I don't care about anything other than being fucking famous and just not ever having to go back to the street. So there's something there. Molly absolutely refuses to go to the party to meet like the man of her dreams because she is so fucked off and scared, I think, as well, of Naomi. And yet in the very next scene,
there she is,
up pops Molly,
dressed up to the lines,
because we need her for the script, because all of a sudden now we realize we don't have a third act. So we need to do something, and we need to do it quickly. So Molly shows up, meets, I've forgotten his name again.
Alex
Carver. Okay. And says, I can't even thread a needle anymore. Great. Wonderful little scene where she meets him.
And to be fair, his reaction to that as well, because he's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, so lovely.
That's really good as well.
Yeah, lovely call.
The only good thing about this dude in the film.
Yeah. And again, that has led me to write, there is a decent, brackets, not good, there is a decent, not good film in here, but it's just completely lost. It is. If you shaved an hour out, you'd have.
I mean, this is like 2 hours 10,
something like that. If you're like, okay,
shave half hour out.
Shave half hour out. Focus on all the Vegas stuff. Forget about all the fucking stuff with James, who actually we've completely glossed over the end of his story, but you did bring up earlier on. She goes to see him, and he is putting the show on, and he does insist still that it's for her. It's fucking terrible. He gets booed off stage, and he's knocked up the woman that he was with. But He's gonna do the decent thing. He's gonna marry her and he's gonna
get
support
married.
the child. Okay, so he ends up sort of back. I guess he kind of cancels himself out. He's a douchebag, but he's doing the right thing. But his story goes nowhere, adds nothing, doesn't need to be there. Cut it out completely.
I think actually with that scene as well, where so they're not in the strip club, they're in the dance club where he was a bouncer, where they first met the Bees. It's just a nightclub, effectively.
Yes.
Now, who rents a stage in a nightclub to put on a show like that in Vegas, where people clearly don't fucking want it?
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
It's not that sort of place. No, you can see that from the twice we've been in there. It's not that sort of place where people go to see a show.
No, it's fucking ludicrous, isn't it? It's ludicrous. Like, in all honesty, you'd take that show down to LA, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
that's what you
do. It's an art show rather than fucking entertainment.
Yeah. So you take it down to LA. But anyway, his story wraps up. Yeah. We glossed over it completely because it's completely fucking unimportant.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't seem to thread the needle anymore, and I'd say it's really good. And then I've just written massive capital letters. It's actually taken up 4 lines on my page. She goes off with the guy. There are 2 dudes waiting around the corner, and I've just written, whoa, what the fuck? This is not quadruple underlined. This is not okay. Where did this come from, and why is it needed, and why does it have to be so fucking graphic?
This is the thing, right? And the thing I didn't get with it is, and yes, okay, I get why they've done it, this whole thing of, they're introducing a new theme now about consequences, and again, in the spirit of the industry and all the rest of it, and exploitation, that's fine. But so you get this thing where she goes off, and I'm fairly sure, given her level of infatuation with the bloke, if he'd said, look, me and my friends we all want to fuck you.
Yeah, we want. Yeah, I probably have gone along with it. Yeah.
Yeah, but as it is, you get this guy, and from nowhere, he beats the living fuck out of her, holds her down for his mate to fuck her, and and his words are, "Go on, fuck her, go on." So hang on, that doesn't ring true. But the other part of it, which really fucking bothered me, right, is that in the context of this film, we've seen most of the blokes that we've seen in the film are gay dancers, or they're trying to fuck Elizabeth Berkley. So we get this guy, and within seconds, his shirt is off, and you're thinking, okay, he's built out of fucking granite. And I'm fairly sure that in the context of this film, around all these whores and dancers and all the rest of it, he wouldn't have trouble getting laid. So why does he need 2 people to hold down a girl who's about 5 foot tall to rape her?
Also, this is really horrible. This is a really horrible thing to say, okay? But I'm going to go here. He's in a party full of models and dancers and incredibly beautiful people.
Yeah.
Why
all
does
of
he go
off their tits?
Why does he go with the wardrobe assistant who would literally just eat out of his hands anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
He could have anyone in the party.
That's it. And as you said, the whole reason for this particular incident is that we don't have a third act without it.
It literally is. And it's just anything that might have been good about this film. And bearing in mind, first or maybe second time I've seen it, and I had blocked this from my memory if I had seen it before, okay? I was just starting to say, actually, yeah, okay, there's some good stuff here. There was some bad stuff, but it's all right. It's nipped along. We're coming to a conclusion. It's all right. And then this comes out of nowhere, and it's just done me in this. Like, fuck it. Fuck this film. Like, this is actually a worse scene than anything in 365 days. This is fucking horrible. Like, you full on see him punch her. Like, she gets fucking battered. She ends up in hospital. There's even stains on her clothes when they
it's legs and all. No, they've made it really graphic, and the whole thing with it is right. So yeah, we get it that she tries to leave. I don't know. Again, given the fact she's fucking walked up there, fine. She's changed her mind. That's fine. So they block the door, and they grab her. So they're holding her while I've forgotten his name now, Alex. While he punches her in the face. And then punches her in the stomach. Okay.
Yeah.
So then they throw her onto the bed and hold her down, while the first one gets to rape her. I'm assuming they all take a turn.
Yeah.
And so we get that, and then so that's incredibly graphic and unnecessary. And then again the scene where you've got the juxtaposition where Naomi and Tom McLaughlin, whose name I can't fucking remember, Zach. they're dancing, and he's like, "Oh, I think I'm falling in love with you," and all this sort of thing. Okay, fine, that's moving their story along, and then she stumbles out and collapses, and I think, okay, that's fine, but again, that doesn't do anything for Nomi's story at this point, because Nomi's story needs to end for Nomi the dancer, not then at this point in the next scene where we find out who she really is. By which point, it's too little, too fucking late.
Well, this is the problem again. Is this whole scene part of the reason I'm so against it? Besides the fact it's very graphic, right? And it's there's no need for it to be this graphic, but this would fit with story A.
Yes.
Okay, this would fit back with James and his story and scuzzy little underbelly of Las Vegas, right? That all fits, that would end like this. And then we get Nomi's background that actually, you know, she's fabricated her entire identity here and she used to turn tricks and live on the street and stuff like that. So it's kind of like we don't, you're right, we don't ever finish Nomi the dancer's story. We don't ever get that arc played out at all. And we don't ever really start Nomi the street rat's story.
Yeah, so, that's it. And I mean, the whole thing, I mean, there are ways you can go with this, because I mean, Crystal's story is not finished yet either.
No, absolutely not.
So we've got that, and that you kind of get this. And there's an example of and I can't think what it is, but where you sort of take this begrudging acceptance of, okay, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, but it's where I wanted to get me, so I'm going to take it, and I'm kind of going to go along with it. And I'll suffer in silence, but no, I'll take it and I'll do it. And there is definitely a film where I can picture that happening, where it's that careful what you wish for sort of thing.
Yeah.
And we don't get that ending either. And I think that's where this needs to go.
Yeah. We get, I think, the best ending we possibly could. I actually think they wrap it up quite well.
The problem is it doesn't end any of the stories properly. It just kind of goes, oh, fuck it, we're out of time. Yeah. We've run out of film.
Well,
we've got like 20 seconds left.
It's that there's no plot to speak of. And what very little plot there is all on the B story. Yeah, and I don't say B story like it's the minor story. I'm just calling them A and B to differentiate between this kind of street level one and the Showgirls story. So the B story we'll call the Showgirls story because we're introduced to it later. Yeah. The B story doesn't sort of gets going, but then doesn't know how to kind of wrap itself up, because by the time that she hits the top, by the time that she's pushed Crystal down the stairs, like that only happened sort of 10-15 minutes ago. That should be the midpoint of Act 2 for that story, and then we have to see her descend from there and then eventually redeem herself and probably end up in James's show off the fucking main strip, because she's turning her back on all of the fucking limelight and all, right? That's how you complete this story. But we don't do that because they spend so much time on each of the two halves without saying anything. If they focused on one, we would be fine. But what we actually get instead is she goes, like, Cal McLaughlin tries to tell her, like, no, don't, he's one of us, and this is where the exploitation thing, comes fully to the fore. Everybody's complicit in what he's doing. Yeah. You know, especially now with culture the way it is today, you know, this is quite pertinent. There is a whole Me Too aspect to this. Yeah. You know, so this does ring true, and I'm sure, and
even the whole thing of, oh, well, no, we'll buy her a shop. She'll be fine. She won't say anything. It's just completely dismissing any responsibility. So buying her off, but also dismissing Molly's ability to actually do anything.
Yeah. So, and again,
we'll do it because it'll make us feel better, make us feel like we've done something about it. But actually, who's going to fucking believe her anyway? Nobody's going to care.
Again, there's something there, and there's something to be said, but they don't go with it. Now, look, at the time as well, I guess this was an incredibly fucking brave thing to try and say as well, because the parallel is clear, and we know this sort of stuff was going on then. It hasn't suddenly started happening in the last 5 years. It's just now people have started speaking up, and that has empowered other people to speak up. And so it's like a fucking Rolling Stone gathering moss now, and all of these stories are coming out, but they would have been there then. So I'm sure somewhere along the line, this comes from a kernel of absolute truth for someone.
Yeah.
So there is definitely something here. It's just so poorly mishandled. But anyway, she goes postal with him, says, no, absolutely, this is the fucking final straw. You know, you're not going to swallow me up like this. I'm going to do what's right.
Yeah.
I don't care if you found out who I am and all this. And that would all be good if we knew all of this. If we were the only ones, I mean, that's where you get the drama. If we're the only ones that knows where she's come from and no one else does, and she's pulling the wool over their eyes and barely trying to keep it together.
Well, that's it, because then you get the added threat of the fact that
they could
people might find out.
Yeah, right. But that's not what they did. That's what we need, but that's not what we. So when this reveal comes, we're just like, yeah, we know, but by now it's too late to do anything about it. So what she does instead is goes postal, goes and beats the fuck out of Rex Manning. They bring the flick knife back in, which is nice. It's a nice little callback.
I mean, to be fair, at this point, she's already gone crazy.
Yeah,
she's already mad. They're introducing the flick knife, and her primary thing is that this person has hurt her friend, her only friend.
Yeah,
and she's got the flick knife out. She knows she's running at this point.
Yeah. And it's also, don't forget, it's not just that this person has hurt her friend. This person has done to her friend what has been done to her several times and has got her to the situation that she's in.
Well,
this person has very specifically pulled the trigger on a loaded gun.
Yeah.
Like, very specifically. Like, she was already on the edge, but this is what she has been afraid is going to happen to her all along. And it's clearly something that's happened to her in the past.
Yeah.
So she is never going to allow it to happen again. So she goes with a flick knife. That's great. As is the fucking curb stomp dance that she does. That's amazing. Because that's her skills. She's a dancer. So why wouldn't she beat him up in dance? Like, of course she would. So that's really good. But again, we needed to have seen this sort of side of her bubbling under earlier on. And then descend into this. We needed to descend to this point, whereas I feel like we've actually ascended to this point. The film is completely unbalanced. It's like the film is built to this. Yeah. No, this is the lowest point for the character. Like, everything that she's been running from has just been thrown in her face. Yes, it didn't happen to her, but it's happened to her best friend.
Yeah, it's as close as it possibly could be to her without it happening to her.
Yeah, this is the worst thing that could possibly happen to her, short of it actually happening to her. This has to be the lowest point. This is the end of Act 2.
Yeah.
But instead, it's the end of the fucking film.
Well, the thing is as well, I mean, I can't quite decide whether there's a line in here in this scene which I can't decide if it's genius or really fucking annoying.
Hit me with it.
Where she goes in and she's in, I guess what passes as a business suit for a stripper, and he says, "I think I like you better topless," and her response is, "You should see me bottomless."
Yeah.
I can't decide if that's hilarious or really fucking bad.
It's really fucking bad.
It may have been the time I was watching it because it was quite late, but I was sitting there thinking, should I be laughing at that? That seems funny. But
no,
I don't. It's been there for 2 days. I'm just thinking, it's not funny. Yeah, it is. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. No. I've been really fucking schizophrenic with it.
It's not funny. So that happens. She runs away again. And actually, she goes to see Crystal.
Yeah, she goes to tell Molly, say, I kicked the shit out of him for you.
Yeah, and then stops by to see Crystal. Now this is weird as well, because I feel like their relationship has been so underplayed for the whole film, and so there's so little between the two of them other than she hates Crystal. For her to go and see her in hospital, and it's almost like as if they need to have this kind of final bonding moment, this almost this passing of the torch.
Yeah.
And metaphorically, because she's running away, she can't go back to the show, but almost like Crystal saying, like, you did it, kid, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But that's not what we get at all, because that work hasn't been put in with those characters.
Yeah.
So, and if nothing else, I feel like that if that work had gone in, and that's where we got to here, and actually she'd exercised some demons by beating the guy up.
Yeah.
And then turning her back on the show. And then all it needed was for Crystal to say, "Well done, kid. Don't end up like me," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Fine. There you go. There's a narrative arc. We've been on it. Wasn't great, but there you go.
Well, yeah, it ends.
It's troughed and it ends. Fine. But we don't get that at all. Crystal basically just says, "Yeah, I gave you a hard time because I was like you." Basically digging the boot in, saying, "And you fucked me over, but don't worry about it. It's fine."
Yeah, it's fine. I got paid for it.
Yeah. Gives her a fucking cowboy hat.
Yeah.
And incidentally, when she gets the cowboy hat, she puts it on, gives a bit of a cheeky grin to camera, and has more stage presence in one shot than she's had in the entire fucking film. She looks $1 million when she pulls the smile in that hat. She absolutely does. But the rest of the film, just like other than focusing on her eyes, because there's something pretty fucking special.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah, very special.
She very, very rarely has any kind of serious presence other than overacting psychosis. But gives her the hat, so she goes and starts hitching in a full-on cowboy getup all of a sudden. Now, clearly, insinuation is clearly now that she is adopting the identity of Crystal Connors. That's who she's going to be next. Okay, and that's fine as well. Like, even I would have even taken that a step further. I would have had somebody ask her name and her say Crystal, like, or some other, or have it clock a bottle of wine or something. Or she could walk into a shop and they could ask her name. She could clock a bottle of wine and give the name of a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
But they don't go with that either, so we miss the end in there. What we do get, though, is a nice bit of synergy where she's picked up by the same guy. And there is some really good synergy, especially with her getting in the truck and saying, I want my fucking suitcase back. That made me laugh. And so I left the film on a high note. But actually, if you think about it, what all that actually points out is that we've just been on one great big Ouroboros ride here.
Yeah.
And nobody's learned anything. This hasn't gone anywhere.
Well, no.
It was a waste of 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that you close, so they drive out and he's swerving all over the road because presumably she's not stabbing him, because that would be fucking stupid while he's driving. But so we get this long high pan and we settle on the billboard of her, and it's like, okay, so yeah, that's just really gone nowhere then, because she's just fucking running away, and we're back where we started, except now she's going from Vegas to LA instead of going from wherever the fuck she was to Vegas. And that's the only thing that's changed is her destination. Yeah,
what I feel like we've got out of it, if anything, is by the time we get to the end, we understand who she is as a character, but we needed to do that an hour and change ago.
Yeah, because that would tell us why she acted the way she acted.
Yeah,
what
so that we
did
get to a better ending.
Was an absolute plethora of boobs.
Oh, I mean, yeah, boobs everywhere, and the odd fanny.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, there was some full frontal in it, but yeah, I mean, it's I genuinely felt, what day is it today? Tuesday. I genuinely felt that I wasted my Sunday night.
Yeah, I concur. I felt like I wasted a large chunk of Sunday afternoon as well. This is going to sound gross, but I wouldn't even mind, as you said, if it was erotic. Because at least then you'd think, yeah, it was shit, but it's pretty fucking hot. But it wasn't. It was fucking... Look, this film, I mean, we'll get into summation now because we're here, really, aren't we? This film is a fucking mess, okay? It's an absolute mess. There are 2 completely different films in the mix here, and I actually like both. I do. I like both taken on their own.
So there's a lot of potential with both. The problem is we don't get both. We get half of both.
Yeah, and they don't mix at all. It's just a huge fucking mess and a waste of time. It's got some of the worst performances I've ever fucking seen, or the best. As I say, honestly, this film confuses me so much. It's such a mess that I can't make my mind up. Elizabeth Berkley is either fucking brilliant in this film or absolutely atrocious, and I don't know which it is. I genuinely think she might be brilliant, but the narrative doesn't support it. I really do generally think she's chipping away at something there, and it's like she knows who she is all the way through the film, and the problem is that she never changes from that. We never go on a narrative journey, but that's not to say that she's done a bad job, because the journey isn't there for her.
Well, that's it. And I think that a lot of the problems with this lie with the script.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know whether it wants to be a Black Swan or a Precious or something really fucking gritty and dank and almost desolate. And you've got people trying to rise out of that sort of thing, or whether it wants to be fucking cabaret.
This is the thing. What it needs to be is smutty cabaret.
Yeah.
And to get the points across that it wants to get across, that's absolutely what it needs to be.
Yeah, and that would work.
A lot of the problems with the script, we have to lay some blame at Verhoeven as well, because ultimately he didn't have to shoot every page of that fucking script.
Well, yeah, that's it.
And if he did, he didn't have to put it all in the fucking cut. Like, because clearly the stuff with Jane shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I mean, there is a director's cut.
Is there now?
The reason being that this is the only, still nearly 30 years later, this is the only NC-17 film to get a widespread cinematic release in the US.
Okay. Right.
And there was a director's cut where he took out 3 minutes in order to get an R rating for video stores, because he didn't want an NC-17 rating on home release because they would have restricted what they could have done with it. So that's the extent of the director's cut. He cut out some boobs.
So it's not actually any better for it then.
No, it's just.
It's a shame because
I think you're right. I think there is a lot in here. It's just.
I even think in what's shot, I think it's salvageable. I don't think with what's shot or with what's presented to us anyway, it would ever be brilliant. But I feel like it's definitely salvageable to being passable. And I think with more work and more focus, I genuinely think there is something really good here. But it's just not explored properly, is it? And it ends up being this gigantic fucking mess, which accentuates all of the smaller problems. That's the thing. Like, look, every film has some bad dialogue. Yeah. Everything, even Tarantino films have the odd fucking clunker, right? Every film has bad dialogue in there somewhere. It's just that when the film is good and when the majority of the dialogue is slick, you give it a pass.
Yeah.
Like, you'll notice at no point, and we do this a lot on this show, at no point have we pulled this up on any technicalities with regards to production. At no point have we gone, the lighting was off, or I can't hear what's going on, or I don't like that cut. You know, and we do that a lot, but we haven't done that at any point because all of that is fucking exceptional. This looks like $1 million, and it should. So we've probably given a load of stuff a pass because we haven't been looking for it. Yeah. And the same thing could happen if they just dialed into this a bit more. Because I genuinely do think, like I say, I'm confused by it, but I think I'm confused because the film is so bad. But I think I do come down on the side of actually she's fucking brilliant in this film. The film just doesn't support her.
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, I've been looking, let's say today, mainly, just doing a little bit of research. Critically at the time, it was panned, as it's widely regarded as one of the worst films ever made. But in hindsight, you know, it's gained that cult following. It more than made its money back in home release. It didn't make its money back in the cinema. I think it cost $45 million. It made about 30. But it's made well over $100 million in home release. So, you know, commercially, yes, okay, it made quite a lot of profit, so it's fine. But actually, a lot of critics from the time have gone back and watched it and gone, you know what? That's not actually that fucking bad. I mean, what's his name? Again, Roger Ebert, who's also a fairly prominent critic. He wrote a second review on it, which was quite lukewarm. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's 2 out of 4 stars. Somebody else gave on our cinema score gave it a C grade. So in terms of an A to F grade, they gave it a C. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just kind of mixed up, and I think that's probably right. And I mean, so on the surface, it's fucking dog shit. But when you start looking for nuance in it, and you start looking for elements of performance, you start looking at the way they've handled things. And I think you're right. If you would split this into 2 films, probably shoot another 30 minutes of the A plot, and you've got yourself a very different film, but a very gritty film about somebody who has them. They've gone with their aspirations, have found themselves falling short, and they're working towards it, but while living in a real world, much like people do every fucking day. Not everybody gets to live their dream, so people will respond to that character better because she is trying. She's working. She's trying her harder. She's found us. She's fallen on hard times, and she is working her way up. She's trying to improve her station. That's a film that, as you said, we've seen that so many times, and I'd pay to watch that again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the other side of it, as I said, which would just be smutty cabaret, I can get on board with that because again, there's a story to be told there.
Yeah, and that gives you your in for your satire and your exploitation and stuff. Yeah, which I feel is what they want. That's the film they want to make.
Yeah, and I think it's the execution has been the problem with this. I think that the problem, I say, the main problem for me is the script. It doesn't know which of those it's trying to make, and because it's trying to do both, it hasn't really achieved any sort of melding. They don't join together at any point. There's no cohesion between them. No. And I think that's the problem for me, is that it doesn't tally. Some of the dialogue is god awful, which never helps.
Yeah, appalling. Yeah.
And some of the delivery with a lot of the actors is fucking appalling. I'm reading a quote from Carl McLaughlin at the moment, actually saying when he saw it at the premiere, he hadn't seen it before the premiere. And he went in, he thought, "What the fuck is this? This is awful. This is horrible." And to distance himself from the project, he didn't really talk about it. And I saw it again a number of years later, and he started saying, "Actually, you know what? It's not what I thought it was, but actually, no, it has a place. It does a job. It's just not the job that we thought we were doing when we made it. And maybe with a different cast, with a different director, maybe it would have come off differently." So I think that's possibly, I mean, we've said that over the last 2 hours, but I think that's possibly the right way to look at it, is that the intention was, or there was an intention there, I think. They just blew the execution. And that's the biggest problem with it, is that what we get isn't what they were trying to do.
I think so. And I think actually, I don't know too much of the history behind the project, so this is all supposition on my part, but it kind of feels to me like a classic example of the Hollywood system just going tits up. This is clearly an executive sat around going, okay, we've got this script, there's loads of tits in it, it's trying to say something about exploitation, stuff like that. Okay, well, Verhoeven's coming off the back of Basic Instinct. That had tits in it. That was really successful. Yeah. We can sell this as from the director of Basic Instinct. Yeah, okay, let's get that guy. And I'm sorry, but director and material are just completely mismatched. Yeah. Now, I could be completely wrong. Okay, he could have had a hand in the production of this project. He could have gone looking for it for all I know, but he's mismatched to this project. He absolutely is. This has got Schumacher written all over it, and I would watch that film 100 times. Even Baz Luhrmann.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have got the satire on the nose like Schumacher would have, but even Baz Luhrmann could have churned it out. But
I mean, I think the writer also wrote Basic Instinct, which is where the Verhoeven connection came from.
So there's the connection. Yeah, so maybe Verhoeven did have more to do with actually, with the production of it. But that's what it feels like to me, is that actually it's a misfire in a boardroom somewhere before it even gets in front of a camera.
Here's your misfire. I'll read the quote from the wiki page. So the writer's name was Esther Has. I'm sure I pronounced it wrong. I can't see his first name anyway. Came up with the idea for Showgirls while on vacation at his home in Hawaii. During lunch in Beverly Hills, Verhoeven told Esther Has he'd always loved big MGM musicals and wanted to make one. So why the fuck he ended up making this? God knows.
Because this isn't that. Yeah.
Esther suggested the same thing set in Vegas. Based on the idea, he scribbled on a napkin. Esther Has was advanced $2 million to write the script, and picked up an additional $1.7 million when the studio produced it into a film. He got paid $4 million fucking dollars for this to write it.
And that explains the Verhoeven connection as well, because he helped seed it. So this was always going to be his project. It just sounds like it's not actually the project that he wanted to make, because it's certainly not a fucking MGM Golden Age musical. It's nothing like that.
No.
So yeah, it's just a fucking unmitigated disaster, if you ask me. Is it better than Mario? Absolutely not. I already spoiled that fucking. And again, my barometer for that now, as we watch increasingly bad films for this show, my barometer for that has more become like, what is the level of badness? Like, is it to the point where it's painful to watch? And actually, in places, this is, and for all the intent and for all the good stuff that's in there, they undo nearly all of that at the end. And actually, if you again, my ultimate barometer is put the two in front of me right now, and which am I going to pick? And it's going to be Mario every single time over this horse shit. And Mario doesn't even have tits in it.
Yeah. Well, so, that's Bob Hoskins in it.
Yeah. All right. Brum.
I think you're right though. I think that. I mean, we've watched some absolute fucking dog shit for the show, and I'm sure that it'll get worse. But this has plumbed a pretty new low for me, just because it's such a mess. I mean, I've seen this probably 4 or 5 times now, and as a younger man, you look at it and go, "Hey, tits." But when you start looking at it critically, and you start looking and thinking, right, okay. Yes, it looks fantastic, and yes, okay, there's a lot of boobs in it, but beyond that, the story is confused to all fuck, because there are 2 of them. There's a storyline which doesn't belong in here whatsoever, which is the James stuff, and what we do get with her past and her, the sort of slightly more psychotic, slightly more frenetic parts of her character, we don't get enough of them early on for them to actually mean anything.
No.
And I think that's my biggest problem with it, is that it's just all over the place, and because of that, it's very, to watch it critically, it's very difficult to enjoy. So for me, yeah, I mean, it's not even in the same, it's not even the same fucking same planet as Mario.
No, I agree. This is right down there with Battlefield Earth on the on the quality scale of films that we've watched for this show. Which is a shame, because I genuinely I just keep coming back to the fact that I think there is something in here, and I think the quote you read from Carl McLaughlin was interesting, because, as I said to you, it feels like that. It very much feels like the cast think they're making something else. Certainly in Elizabeth Berkley's case, it does. She understands this character, and she's giving us a character. She really is. Like, this is actually, it's not a fully formed character, because she's not three-dimensional, unfortunately, but she's trying to make her that. And she is trying to do a character study. It's just that the narrative doesn't support her at all, and it's a shame, because I think I'd really be up for that. But hey ho, that's not what we got. So
no, I mean, the writers went off to he did he and Verhoeven interviewed hundreds of strippers in the preparation of this, and they were looking at this being some sort of morality tale, and I think it just falls. I can see you can see the intention, but
you can see that in there. You
can see what they're trying to do. They just don't achieve it. And yeah, I think that's the problem. There's very much I mean, even from this interview, they talked where they talked about intervening strippers. That was their point. So we talked about exploitation all along. This whole thing of you've got these men as of the center of the world, whereby they control all these shows, they control the casinos, they control the dancers, and the women, the dancers, the artists were quite frequently beaten or physically or verbally abused, raped. So and this is what they this is what they were trying to talk about. So yeah, the intention is there, and the seeding of it is there. It just doesn't go far enough to do that, because there's too much other shit. As I said earlier, there's too much noise around it.
Yeah,
for you to actually get that message across.
Definitely, it just needs more focus.
Yeah, which it's a shame, because obviously it's a very important message, but it just gets lost in translation, unfortunately. As always. Well, we love hearing people's thoughts on these, because we do get some pearls back. So if you have a different opinion on that, let us know on Twitter at ddpodcastnet. You can go to our website, ddpodcast.net, where you can also check out previous episodes and our other shows as well. On Facebook and YouTube with the Double Down Podcast Network. Wherever you get your podcasts from, be it iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Amazon Music, etc. Like, share, subscribe, leave us a message. We'll get back to you as best we can. But until next time.
See you later.